met a lot of students who are in colleges. I have judged their what you call idea, this thing, workshops and ideathons, as they used to call that. All these competitions, and every time when somebody says that we want to be this, we want to be the next this, I would say, please, please, remove your whole, that aura of that success and think about what you can do in terms of practicality. We do surveys, we do prototypes, we do a trial of our solutions. Are they workable or not? Do they hold ground? Why I say that don't go in for funding first head on, because every VC or every seed funding that happens, people always see your enthusiasm for work. They see how serious you are about your idea or a startup. When we talk about innovation, when we talk about something new, something different in the field of entrepreneurship, we always say, okay, I want to be the next Ola, I want to be the next Uber, I want to be next Zomato, I want to be the next Swiggy. Wait, wait, wait. Why next? That's the most crucial question you have to ask. Why next Ola? Why next Uber? And that is where you have to draw a line and say that no, this is not talking about innovation. This is not talking about creativity. It is just a replication of some model, some very successful model that you have, and you are trying to just put it across and say, I want to be successful in this. So, when we talk about innovation, when we talk about something different, something new, and probably something creative, because I see that a lot of you are even educators also, so you have to teach innovation and creativity. That is where we have to say that no, don't be the next, be the first, or probably second. I'm not saying that everybody can be first. No, you can be second in probably in the field of food delivery, or you can be the third in the field of say aeronautical engineering or something like that. But be your best, and that is where we talk about innovation, we talk about creativity. So when we start off thinking about an entrepreneurship idea, that is where we have to begin with. In my journey as a leader, who I was leading EHI ventures across different cities in Madhya Pradesh, which is central India. So based out in Indore, I was also leading it from Jabalpur, Bhopal, and I have met a lot of students who are in colleges. I have judged their what you call idea, this thing, workshops and ideathons, as they used to call that. All this competition, and every time when somebody says that we want to be this, we want to be the next this, I would say, please, please, remove your whole, that aura of that success and think about what you can do in terms of practicality. Okay. So when we begin the first step of entrepreneurship, we begin with idea, right? What we talk about is uh, the first stage of entrepreneurship as an idea stage. When you build an idea, when you think about an idea, when you talk about an idea, what do you talk about? The first thing that you talk about is the gap. The gap is what we need to understand as entrepreneurs, whether you are the first stage or last stage or you are exiting and thinking of the next one. You have to think about the gap. The gap comprises on two things mainly. There's a problem and the solution, right? So what is the gap in your local local place or regional place? What is the gap that you can fulfill? What is the gap that you can probably think about solutions to? What is the gap that people feel that it is a very huge problem and probably you have tinkered with a lot of solutions? So this particular stage is extremely important, and this is where I also tell the college students and all the students that please focus on this first, that gap, that problem. And entrepreneurship is about solving a problem. Otherwise, you will call yourself a business person. A business person is not thinking about solution. A business person is thinking about profits. But if you're talking about yourself as an entrepreneur, you are talking about a problem and a solution. And that is where you are differentiating yourself as an entrepreneur in opposition to a business person. That is where I feel that a lot of students have to understand themselves. I see a lot of people who are saying that, okay, fine, we have thought of problem, we have thought of a solution also. Great, let's clap for that. But before we go ahead, is that solution workable? That's the first. Then there comes the next stage. As soon as you thought about the idea, you thought about the problem, you thought of the gap, you thought of the solution. Okay. Then we talk about the whole aspect of it as what is the solution comprising of? Is it what you call doable? Is it relatable to your region or local place, or is it relatable to people who want solutions? Um, is it relevant? It is workable? Is it actually a solution or just a thing on the paper? If all these answers are going to give you a saying that yes, 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 but if the last question, is it really a solution? Is something that you have to work on. Is it solution that you are going to work on, really work on? Do you have resources for it? Do you think you can do it? Do you think you can have a team for it? Do you think it is workable and relatable to your context? For example, a solution in Mumbai suburbs would not work in as a solution in probably Telangana because there is the regional difference, there is a cultural difference, there is a difference probably even of language and the way people interact with each other, right? So when you're thinking about the gap, if it is local, if it is regional only, then is it working on that region? And if you have visions of it to be a workable solution pan India, is it workable? For example, I have worked with startups who have, I have interacted with a lot with them. And one of the startups that I know, and I actually, I also have taken up their services also. They're into waste management. So what they did is they broke down their solution of waste management to a local place. They just chose, in the beginning, they just chose one city. They want to provide service only to one city. We did the whole app, everything, but it was located only to one city because they wanted to ensure that their gap or the solution works well. People are able to understand it. People are able to interact with the UI and UX interface of app. Everything was sorted, and then they moved on to another city. Then the next. So they are expanding slowly because they have realized that cultural differences, differences in communication with people, can always impact how people perceive your entrepreneurship idea or a startup or a product or service. So this is where we need to understand that when you're starting out, how does your idea impact the people, the end users? Does it work for them? Is it solution based, realistic? Is it workable? So that is where we need to a lot of thinking about this because what happens is we love, feel that euphoric feeling. Ah, I've got a solution. I've got this thing. It's beautiful feeling. I'm telling you because I have also undergone that, and it's a beautiful feeling. But when you are actually coming terms to with what people are talking to you about your product or probably your service, that is when the lot of bells are ringing and clanging and kind of giving warning signs. So what do you do to counter that? We do surveys, we do prototypes, we do a trial of our solutions. Are they workable or not? Do they hold ground? Are people able to interact with us well? Is the communication really great or not? And that is where we probably can move on to the next phase, that is really practically applying the idea in a small way in a trial version, or probably what you would call a prototype of your product. Uh, I think I can give an example of one startup. I'll give a name, their name also. They are into making cocoa and chocolate product, Teagle, and they used to keep on having there's the feedback and surveys from all the users. They used to say we have brought out with the Teagle chocolate, hot chocolate powder. How did you find it? How was its sweetness? How was it dissolving well in the milk? What all did you need? Lot of service the founder used to do, and then she used to come out with a product until it was perfected well. So with a small group of Instagram users, she kept on interacting with people. So that is what happens when you are into a prototype phase or trial phase. You try to find out, you get feedback, then you perfect your product along the way. So this is what happens when you are trying out something, your idea, and seeing that it is replicated across different groups. One group, control group. One group is something that could comprise anybody else. Start with all these steps. So when we talk about steps, that is where we talk about the whole idea of having a structure now. So when you have a structure, you have a solution, you have got a product or probably a service which you feel now, yes, people can use it, we are ready for it. Then you go on with the business plan. How are you going to plan out your entrepreneurship, the strategy in terms of sales, in terms of services, in terms of product, in terms of probably even after sales also, the teams, the salaries, everything, every detail goes into the business plan. And I'm sure all of you have heard about business plans, a lot of business plans, and a lot of students are also these days who are taking up entrepreneurship. They are very well aware of it. But the point here is that a lot of people think that putting business plan in ChatGPT and AI can solve the problem. But no, please. The ChatGPT and AI doesn't know what you have encountered as a person, what you have, what all feedback you have got as a person. So try and be realistic and try and be very much in touch with whatever real communication people have done with you. Probably you can take a business plan as a structure, but content of it has to be yours and it has to be real. So please stay away from AI for that, because a business plan is something like a kind of a document which kind of guides you, especially in the first year of your startup journey, of your entrepreneurship journey. It's a very, very helpful document for you. It is like, kind of a Bible. I have to go back, I have to refer to it. Where did I go wrong? What did I miss out on? All those things. So when we talk about business plan, we talk about prototyping, then we also go ahead and talk about getting feedback from people, implementation of the replication of this feedback of or trial, and then we go on further into the whole rolling out and churning out of your products or services and that way. So the launch, the sales, marketing, after sales feedback, all these things come after that. Going on further, there is one aspect of entrepreneurship that a lot of people actually miss out on, which I have also encountered in a lot of people because if you give yourself a time of say 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, a lot of people then say that this is not working. Why is it not working? You had tested everything, your idea was working well. What happened along the way? This is where I believe that assessment is a very important and crucial aspect that not all entrepreneurs take up into consideration. Have you assessed your first year? I'm not talking about the finances, I'm not talking about the quarterlies and all that. I'm talking assessment of your communication with your users and users, assessment of your this thing, sharing of insights with your team, how your team is holding up, assessment of the processes, assessment of the systems. All these assessments are very, very crucial right from the year one. And a lot of entrepreneurs actually skip on that because they feel that only the audits, the accounts, and the services part is crucial. The assessment part goes missing out. Assess yourself, assess your processes, assess your company as a people and process oriented, both together. People and process both together, assess there and assess it on a weekly, monthly format. So that is where we need to be really, really in tune with how you are going to go ahead because you don't want to say I by the end of third year that okay I can't do this anymore, I'm saying tata bye bye. Oh no, when you have invested so much of energy, when you have been so good, I'm not saying that you have to stick to your other thing, probably you have something better also, but lot of startups and entrepreneurs are these days I'm seeing are exiting because there is a lot of burnout, there is no assessment of this thing, and there are other factors also, which I'll talk about next. But the assessment part is totally, totally very important. An assessment you can do through feedback, assessment you can do by talking with your teams, assessment you can do by seeing the analytics and the systems that you have incorporated. Assessment can also be done by reflecting on your stage, a growth stage as an entrepreneur. That's very, very important. So when I talk about entrepreneurship, I see largely as a whole process wherein you have idea, you plan it, you implement on it, execute it, assess it, and then reflect on it. Because all these things are very, very crucial part of entrepreneurship that all of you need to do on a I would say weekly or monthly basis so that you keep running on your idea and ensure that it keeps going on smoothly. That is what distinguishes you from being a businessman because a businessman, like I told before, is only on profits, right? The next part that I'm going to talk about is a lot of people have asked me, especially students who are just in the college, and they've said, मैम हमारा आइडिया तो बहुत अच्छा है वेरी गुड वी हैव वंडरफुल आइडिया we are looking for funding. I said, hold your horses. Funding? Why funding? Ma'am, it's a very wonderful idea. See, it is watertight. Everything is good. The business plan is ready. Everything is good on the papers. Everything is fine. So why not funding? So that is where I feel that you all have to open your eyes and be realistic. Why I say that don't go in for funding first head on because every VC or every seed funding that happens, people always see your enthusiasm for work. They see how serious you are about your idea or a startup. They see how serious you are about as an entrepreneur. And that is where You need to show them that you are putting in your own money, you're putting in your own resources, you're working hard, and you are actually bootstrapping to ensure that your idea is viable, is workable, and it can grow. It has potential to grow. All the VCs worth their salt will always say that yes, have you bootstrapped? How much have you invested in your own idea? And I'm sure that if you have done that, then you are going to gain a brownie point with the VCs or seed investor or angel investors who are going to be part of this. So coming on to funding and coming on to talking about the different types of funding, I'm sure on Google you'll find all of the details. But let me just give you a few points. When you start off with seed funding. Then seed funding as per the UK dollars it goes on from $10,000 to 2 million funding. But I don't think we go much higher than that. Then comes the growth stage or the VC part wherein you already have done a lot of work and probably already 2 3 years into your venture. That is where you can have a VC, and VCs means venture capitalists, people who are going to invest into your venture. They are going to take equity out of it, or probably whatever arrangements you have thought of. So in that, there are series A, B, C, depending on how what growth stage you are in and how much investment have you received prior. Then we move on to later stage or exit stage wherein the funding has been done on a huge scale, and probably you or on the IPO scale of uh, size of your the thing company, and then probably if you want to exit, you can exit also. So that is how the whole funding process is seen from a very what you call third person perspective. So when we talk about funding, there are also other types of funding where you get bootstrapping from your family, you put in your own money and all that, probably bank loans. Then we have government schemes and initiatives which work really wonderful well. You have Mudra schemes and a lot of other schemes which even women are also encouraged to take up for small and medium enterprises and all that. And then we have cooperative societies also. Cooperative societies are also one part of this thing. I mean, they are very rare, like Amul. We have also in the this thing, India Coffee House. They are cooperative societies, but they are also a kind of vertical funding depending on what you want to start off with. So these are the different kind of fundings that we have, and we have for government funding we have Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, which goes from 50,000 to 20 lakhs. Then we have Startup India scheme, which for women and SC/ST communities from 10 lakh to 10 crores. So, but then they also take up some interest from you, like 3% or something like that. Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for micro and small enterprises, which give loans of up to 10 crores. And Prime Minister's Employment Generator Scheme, which has employment in rural and urban areas, and the loans amount to 25 lakh for service sector, and for manufacturing units it's up to 10 lakhs for 10 lakh for service sector, and manufacturing units is 25 lakh. So they also gives in the same this thing program you have subsidies ranging from 15 to 35%. Then we have Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, uh, which gives loans and initiatives to DPIIT. They are registered startups, so they give loans to that. So All these kind of different schemes you can check out on Google and website of the Startup India .gov.in, and you can get that. Uh, before I end up, there are certain points which I would like to mention before we kind of go ahead with the other stage of our uh, session. You always need to coordinate with your CA for your and your accounts department. Ensure that audits are done in time and all the financial aspects are taken care of from the day one. This ensures that even if you apply for the government schemes or initiatives, you have all the company details in the clear. So that makes it very easy for you to get loans. The second thing that I would like to say is that uh, when angel funds or VC schemes that they have, they always do a background check before signing the contract. While they do that for you, you also have to do that for them. See, there are a lot of people who are out there who are saying, I'm not scaring, but there are a lot of scams also. So please ensure that all the background check is done as much as possible. Um, your vision must align with the risk factors that are involved in any kind of funding contract signing that you do. You should ensure that your vision is not disturbed. If you feel that you are ready to take a lot of risk, that is up to you. But please ensure that all the clauses are read thoroughly by yourself. Please ensure that, because that is a very, very problematic actually phase, because a lot of startups have lost out on their sleep, they have lost out on their the whole vision of the startup because they did read certain clause or something, and then they were totally packed out. They were totally, disappointed in the end. Your team must be cognizant about the changes and the work and the management upheavals that come after being funded. Because see, just being funded is not an injection of fund. It's not only that. There are a lot of changes also in the teams. The VCs might come as a board of this thing, board advisors. They might advise your team. A lot of things can happen. Please ensure that your team also is cognizant of it. And the last thing that I would like to say is that think of long-term gains rather than just short-term profits. The overall scheme is that whether funding or not, if you want this to be a long-run solution provider as an entrepreneur, think long-term rather than the short-term gains. Because in short-term gains, you just fizzle out, and that could be a really disheartening for you also probably, because you began thinking that, oh yes, we are going to make a change in the world, a dent in the world, and probably that is what uh, keeps you going. So as an entrepreneur, I wish that all these aspects and all these points would really help you.
Many are discouraged from ventures because they hear 80% startups are failing. How to address these fears?
Uh, Actually, that is the point that I began with. A lot of startups actually say that we want to be next to Ola, Uber, that kind of mindset or thought actually uh, tells of the people who are into funding and all that, no, please stay away from that. The second thing is that we don't value the importance of uh, financial audits and all that, because we are so scared about the IT and finance, and not many people are into it. When I have seen a lot of startups, I have noticed that uh, uh, legal, finance, and tech, these three areas are something that if the founder is not very thorough with, they face a lot of issues in getting CTOs, CFOs, who or even financial advisors who are very thorough with the startup and entrepreneurship scene. because a lot of CAs who are there today, mostly they are into business or corporate aspects, not into startups. So they face a lot of struggle because the CA is not able to understand that, okay, this particular financial audits and all that, how are they going to work for them for certain schemes, subsidies, and all that. That becomes a very what you get is frustrating point. Though a few what you call a few CAs have recently started understanding this particular problem, but they are very few and far in between. So that poses a huge problem for all the entrepreneurs to, actually scale up, to actually uh, get into the eyeballs of the VCs and all the angel funding platforms and all that. It becomes very difficult, and that is where actually India is facing. Though, if you look at it creatively, India has a lot of potential. India has a lot of potential to scale up from its current this thing. Uh, but from the trends that I have seen, last year it was very slow, but now it has slowly started picking up. I don't know how the war is going to impact us, but yes, I feel that if we keep on thinking something radical, something different, then I'm sure that we will be able to sustain ourselves in the next 5 years. So my hopes are up, but given the the statistics, I think we have to all be very positive and understand that where our weaknesses lie and ensure that we have a good team which we can have a backup of.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for explaining that. There's a question from K. Hemanti. How can the subject be taught to students in school? Is there any connection between this and pedagogy?
Yes, entrepreneurship actually should be taught in school in small practical ways. I remember I studied in convent in Ahmedabad. So we used to have this annual fairs. And in this annual fairs, we had the whole this thing run over to understand that how to have small games or food stalls or anything. We were left to our device to understand that how much, probably if we are putting up a burger stand, then how much the costing has to be there, how much you have to charge, how much is the market prevailing rate. These are the small little things that we used to do as students, and that is where actually the entrepreneurship begins. So understand all these things practically, through small examples. Visit to supermarkets, understand the how the shelf space is there, how the products are displayed, how understand the different companies through industry visits, and also probably through internship. So all these practical aspects can actually be merged into the curriculum, and it can be easy for having them age appropriately set up, so that from the young age, if the students are aware of and are willing to, in the school environment itself, they can have this kind of opportunity to test their skills and probably see whether they have it in them to be an entrepreneurs or not.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, how important is pre-market survey for business success? Does it give a clear perception of potential market size?
Potential market size can be clearly done in two ways. Like I gave an example of Tiggle. Okay, but Tiggle as a brand, they did it in a small way through Instagram users of theirs. If you are willing to put in a bit of money, have a proper survey done, because there are a lot of survey companies out there who give primary help with primary survey and secondary surveys, or what we they call huge data collection. So these companies are out there who can help you get the data and the service done. And you can always start off with small survey within your locality and then expand on to uh, having survey companies appointed or outsourced to them, and they can do that job for you. What happens is, as you go rolling from a year to year, you begin to realize that there are a lot of opinions that people hold on to themselves. Not everybody gives a feedback, or probably not everybody is comfortable in doing that. These kind of surveys, which are probably hidden, they don't mention the brand, they don't do that, but they then solicit feedback from the people. So these help a lot the companies to scale up. So I believe that research and survey is extremely important to keep your company going, to keep your brand exit in people's mind.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. Um, People who start partnership business end up with disputes and quarrels. But without partners, it may be difficult to grow the business. So, what should be the ideal strategy for forming a company?
It depends basically on what kind of company you're having. I have experienced both. Like I have experienced partnership also. I have something that I am doing as a sole proprietor also. So both the aspects I have experienced that. In partnership, what happens is the biggest benefit is that if you are able to understand each other very well, you are able to vibe with each other very well. Then if see, everyone has their own problems, sometimes you might have something that might take your attention away from your startup for maybe a while. So your partner can take up the responsibility and try to ensure that everything is smooth flowing. That is one of the biggest benefits. You have your each other's back. And as a sole proprietorship, it becomes difficult because you are the only person who is a decision maker. But here, what is the solution for this is have a great team of senior people who are associated with you. Like I would say, if you are a company who is into apps or building apps, you have CTOs, CFOs, all CXOs, all the big people who are going to take a decision for you, so that every time you don't have to run around and you scamper and try to say, okay, I have to focus on so many things. You give the power to the others to ensure that their departments or their area of work is taken care of. So, once again, I feel like I will say that depending on how you're comfortable as a person, you can opt for partnership, or you can opt for sole proprietorship, or you can have a lot of founders, co-founders, as a part of the initiative. So it all depends on the kind of idea, the company that you're having, and also on your personality as a person. How would you like to lead it?
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. We saw your page, Caffeinated Conversations. So, could you talk more about it? Could you share some of the challenges you faced in building the community?
Um, Caffeinated Conversation is a community of readers, writers, and artists. Basically, it started off as something that I wanted to do because uh, I have been reading since childhood. I don't even remember when I didn't have a book in my hand. So, so, so when I got married and I was shifted, basically I'm from Ahmedabad. So when I got married and shifted to Indore, I realized that a lot of people actually don't talk to each other. Like in your in-laws' place, you are. Uh, just having a family. I don't have any friends. So I used to have a lot of reading with books. But eventually I got bored because I said I want people around me to tell me, okay, pick up this book, or I would recommend this book. I'm talking about uh, the year 2008, wherein Instagram was not a huge thing and Bookstagram was not so a huge, the thing that time. So what I did is, because I was part of ECHA and I was leading ECHA in three cities in Madhya Pradesh. I got in touch with a few readers and I said, let's connect on WhatsApp and share with each other what books we are reading and all that. And that is how Caffeinated Conversation began as a WhatsApp group, as a WhatsApp community. And then a lot of people started joining in with word of mouth. And then finally, I had to move to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all these channels because a lot of people wanted to be associated with caffeinated conversation. So what is caffeinated conversation? It is not just a place wherein we just talk books. We have a dedicated book of the month book club. We have dedicated meetups every Sunday online or offline wherein we talk about books, we talk about authors, we talk about literature and life in general. Then we also have literary meets like we just finished 10 years. We just have finished celebrating 10 years of caffeinated conversation in April. So we had a huge celebratory event and we keep having workshops also as well as author meets, book launches and all that. So basically, if you put sum up in one line, we are just mad about books and literature. So that's how we are as a community. And that is how I have also branched out into different aspects. Like I have talked about events and all that. We also have book boxes, subscription book boxes, and that is where we have people asking for curated book boxes to read every month, so that they have this wholesome experience of reading thematic based book choices. For example, if I think about translation, so I send them few books which are translated from different languages, and they have this whole merchandise and all that, which is so curated for the whole reading experience. That's how I engage with my community and ensure that they have a whole good literary experience because I believe that literature is for life. And once you are impacted for life, like you are also into publications and all that, and when mind is impacted, it can do wonders.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for that. We have another question here. Like, should a startup entrepreneur be taught to pitch for funds as it may be crucial for takeoff business? You had mentioned about funding earlier. So,
Yes, yes. So can you just repeat the question?
should a startup entrepreneur be trained in pitching for funds, considering that effective pitching can play a crucial role in the successful takeoff and growth of a business?
Yes, yes, yes. If you are intending to learn about how to pitch, it has become very crucial now, unfortunately, because it wasn't so very well defined in the past. But I think post pandemic, the way you pitch, the way you present yourself, I'm sure a lot of all of you are familiar with Shark Tank and all that, and you have watched the episodes and all that. So it becomes very much important that what you communicate to the people who are ready to invest and have that leap of faith in your company, so they should also be feeling that no, okay, this is something that is workable. So I have a few what you call people whom I know. You can connect to them on LinkedIn if you are there, or probably or probably Google them out. We have this person, Mr. Dilnawaz Khan. He's from Jaipur and he's a founder of Power Tech, wherein he gives mentoring sessions to startups who would like to pitch to various funding thing, maybe seeding, seed for seed stage or angel funding or VCs, whatever your stage of startup is. He's based out in Jaipur, but I think he does online mentorship also. If you want, you can, if I can type it over here in the chat, Dilnawaz Khan, uh, Power Deck. You can find him out on LinkedIn. You can connect uh, to him on that. Then we have T Hub. I have uh, T Hub. Is in Telangana. They also sometimes conduct some workshops and all that for startups. We have I have Good Sec and Venture Studio in Ahmedabad. If anybody is from Ahmedabad, there are a lot of government and private collaborations as hubs in different cities of India. So you do Google it out and find out about them because they regularly have this kind of pitch deck and mentoring opportunities which all startups and students who are wanting to go in for entrepreneurship can get some idea about. They also have this boot camps which are really very helpful because they are hands-on experience for that. So do check them out and that would be really very helpful.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. Ma'am, is there an ideal age to begin entrepreneurship, or how can entrepreneurial success emerge at any stage of life?
I don't think so. There is any age for entrepreneurship. I believe that even kids sometimes. I'm sure this is a very romantic story, of Americans having a lemonade stand, and kids are have selling lemonade. But apart from that, what I believe is a lot of kids um are showing they are just 10, 11, and they're having startups and their own companies and all. Of course, they are thought to be legendary kids, kids who have surpassed that. But I don't think so. There is any age for startup. Uh, One of Ayush Telam or something. There is this company for this Ayurveda products for hair oils and all that, and the founder is, I think, more than 85 years of age. So age is not a constraint or a barrier as far as when you have something which is working well, something which is truly providing solutions for people. Anything can be possible, no matter what the age. So if the kid, if you see a kid who is doing good, who has that sharpness to do something, do encourage the kids. And if they are senior citizens or adults and they are very good at something, do help them out and support. I have read a lot of stories on Instagram and Better India. Do looking for stories, such stories in Better India. They have covered a range of age groups. That would be really very inspiring.
Yes, ma'am. And what would be an advice which you would give to the first time entrepreneurs who fear failure and uncertainty in the early stage of their journey?
Failure is never final. That is what you need you to remember that because failure is I'm not a philosopher or something, but I always have maintained that if there is something that is staring at me and telling me that you have failed, probably it is a stepping stone for me to think and make it right, or probably just skip it off, forget it, and start something anew. And if you are just starting out, it means you're probably, as a student, it means probably that age is on your side. You have resources, you have the energy, you have the stamina. So don't be bogged down by. Remember one thing is that we live in a very, very difficult age wherein there is a lot of distractions, a lot of digital aspects are there. AI is also too prominent. So it is very, very important that we maintain our mental health and also ensure that we succeed and progress with our vision that we have and ensure that it works. Try and be a solution based person rather than just thinking of it as a half empty glass. Think of it as an opportunity that you might get to fill the glass.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am, for that.
Thank you.
Ma'am, How can innovation and entrepreneurial thinking be nurtured effectively in rural or resource limited environments?
In rural environments, it is not so rural as you think, because now everybody has mobile phone, right? So the rural India that you imagine to be, slow paced, and that is all changing. I am also part of this rural landscape because we have our own farms and fields. So we keep on going to our village, and I see a lot of young people out there who have brilliant ideas and who are actually being the bridge or the connection between the urban and the rural setting. So these young people are there are news, and I've heard a lot of stories wherein young people are setting up their own villages as examples to imitate for even urban dwellers. We have villages which are having CCTV cameras, we have villages which are thoroughly educated, we have clean villages across India. There are a lot of initiatives that are happening, and the young people are actually bridging that particular gap. So I'm so very happy that despite what we define as town, village, city, irrespective of that, young people are so very enthusiastic and so very determined to see that um, we all progress, that we all do something nice, we do something better, and we enrich our lives. So I feel that that is a very good sign that we all have opportunities to go beyond the urban mindset and have a lot of solutions even at the village level.
Yes, ma'am. Who was the personality who inspired you the most to venture into the world of entrepreneurship, and what lessons did you learn from them?
Uh, I was inspired by the founder of EJ Ventures, Jatin Chaudhary. What happened was that when I approached him that I want to be part of EJ Ventures, in Madhya Pradesh. Basically, it is headquartered in Ahmedabad. So he said that, Kavita, we don't have to do everything every day. We don't have to think that how many people are going to turn up in our meetings for entrepreneurship. Even one person would be fine. That really held me even today. Because even in caffeinated conversations, sometimes what happens is because of festives or some reason, if few people turn up, in our meeting, even then I'm so glad that I know. I feel even if I have been able to communicate and impact only two or three people, maybe it makes my day. So this is what I have learned from Jatin Chaudhary, because he used to say that Kamta, it is a very, very slow ride, but it has to be a very, very impactful ride. And that is what has influenced me.